everybody? It's your boy Anonymous, the author, aka Anonymous Rap Guy, and I am back with another podcast episode, man. Today is going to be a nerd episode. I'm going to be talking about the Zack Snyder Justice League cut movie that just came out a couple of days ago. It was released on HBO Max, I believe, and it is streaming and available. I did watch it, and yeah, I got a couple of things to say. So yeah, if you're not into comic books, if you're not into Justice League, if you're not into Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, all that good stuff, then this probably isn't the episode for you. I'm going to talk about some other stuff later on, so probably about 10 minutes, 11 minutes if you just want to fast forward and push on through. Hey, feel free to go ahead and do that, but I'm nerding out today, so that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to talk about the things that I liked about the movies, things that I didn't like about the movie, and just give you an overall rating about what I thought about it. I do think I'm going to probably do like a weekly movie review for the podcast. Because I've been running out of topics to talk about. I will still do, still have some podcast topics, still going to go off kilter some and talk about some random things. But for the most part, I will be doing more movie reviews, try to get them posted on the channel, try to incorporate them into the podcast a little bit, maybe take some quotes or something from there. But yeah, this week, no quote. We're just going to go right into the review and yeah, just kind of talk about that. And like I said at the beginning, I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Thanks for putting up with the craziness and the mess. And yeah, this is where we're going to start today. So, what I thought really quickly about Justice League is that I liked it. I did not see the original one with the Joss Whedon mix down. I did see a bunch of people complaining about it, so that really turned me off for the movie. It was a bunch of things that I saw that I didn't personally like about it, so I just kind of didn't tune in. And watching this Zack Snyder cut, there were a few things that I didn't dislike about the movie, but overall, I really thought it was a pleasurable movie experience. The two things that really stick out that I'm going to talk about a little later are Cyborg's baby arms, man. I just didn't get the point of Cyborg's baby arms. Like, you could have done that. You could have done everything that you wanted to do without Cyborg's, like the little baby arms that came out. I just didn't understand what that was about. Most of the time when he pulled out the baby arms, they were completely useless. He pulled them out for Superman got beat up, and he pulled it up to pull the cube apart when you already had Superman's help. So I really didn't get the need or the use of the baby arms. I don't really remember Cyborg really having baby arms in the media that I watched him in, but I'm not a massive Cyborg fan, so maybe he did have them. But it's the stuff that I've seen and read, I don't remember him having little baby arms that came out and helped him with little stuff. I remember his main arm having attachments that would help and assist, but I don't remember him having little baby arms that came out the back. That was just weird. And then Flash is running. I've seen this in a couple reviews. People talking about he always ran in slow motion. I would have to agree. It was a very awkward run. I don't really this is just minor things that didn't really impact the movie watching experience. But just two things that I was just like, what? Like, it looked like he was kind of doing magic the way Ezra Miller, the actor who played Flash, was running, and I didn't really get it. Like, you have the Flash, the TV show, to illustrate very cool running. Like, the way that they do it in Flash, the TV show, is really cool. Like, I like the way they stop and start, the way they have going in slow motion sometimes, the way things slow down. Great. The thing that sometimes it doesn't work when they try to incorporate a whole bunch of things is they don't pull from things that have worked already. Like, that was just an easy, small thing that could have been fixed with the Flash. Just fix the running. Just get a couple of days of just Ezra Miller running an actual track. Hey, this is how you're supposed to run. This was just an awkward, looks like he's fanning away or swimming while he runs. It was super weird, and it was definitely distracting watching it. In the movie, I just was like, what the hell are they doing here, man? So yeah, those were the two minor things. Overall, very, very enjoyable movie. Darkseid played a big role in the Zack Snyder cut. I was reading after I watched the movie about the differences between the Joss Whedon I'll just call it a reimagining, and the Zack Snyder cut is that Darkseid played a much more minor role. In the beginning, there was a huge fight between basically the Defenders of Earth, we'll just call them, and the big baddie. In Zack Snyder's recut, it is Darkseid, and Joss Whedon's cut, it is Steppenwolf. And I mean, that's a huge massive difference in how the story is told. In the Zack Snyder cut, like, I mean, I don't want to completely ruin it for you guys, so this is, like I said, I will put spoiler in it, but, like, well, I won't put a huge spoiler in it, but let's just say in the Zack Snyder cut, anti-life plays a role in this cut, whereas from what I understand, it didn't play a role at all in the Joss Whedon cut, and it plays into, in the beginning of the movie and really throughout the movie as to why Darkseid it becomes interested in Earth and why Steppenwolf is trying to is doing things basically for Darkseid, and Darkseid gains an interest. You also learn throughout the telling of this that you also learn a bunch of things about the heroes. You learn about Cyborg. They could have done a much better explanation of Flash's powers. I feel they kind of cut like to the end. Like I say, minor spoilers. I'm not gonna do huge spoilers, but they kind of at the end he gets hurt and they don't really explain it at all in the movie, but that he can heal. And then all of a sudden he's like, heal, Barry, heal, and then he just starts healing. And if you're not familiar with the Flash's character, I mean, they just don't do a very good explanation of what the Speed Force is. This is me nitpicking. Like I said, I am a comic book nerd, so, forgive me out there. But they do a very bad job of explaining what the Speed Force is. He said, well, I can manipulate things around time, and it's the way that I'm moving, but they don't really go into the Speed Force is its own thing. This isn't in the movie. This is just a comic book kind of analyzation. They don't go into it that it's its own force, it's its own entity kind of thing that gives him his power that he's actually pulling from. Not that he masters it and wields it in a sense that he creates it, but that he actually pulls from it, that it protects him. But they really don't explain that at all. He just all of a sudden can heal at the end of the movie, which was kind of weird. They also did a decent job of hinting at time travel. There's just one scene that hints at him being able to time travel. And he kind of just goes into this, hey, I made a promise that I wasn't going to, go faster than the speed of light. But he never, they needed to have a Flash movie. I really felt like that this Justice League would have been a lot better if they actually had a Flash movie, because the Flash is a very complex, complicated character, and when he starts pulling powers out of his ass, some fans might be turned off from it. Like, how could he do all these things? How does he have all these powers? And if you go into the story and explanation of what the Speed Force is, where Barry Allen gets his powers, why there are other Flashes, why they can exist simultaneously, and just a whole bunch of origin story about Barry Allen and the Flash, and you can really get a whole bunch of exposition into why he can time travel, why he can do the things that he can do, which seems so absolutely absurd. Why is he considered a god? A whole bunch of things about Flash that they really didn't go into in this movie. And if you guys can't tell, I'm a huge Flash fan. He's one of my favorite DC comic book heroes. He definitely is the reason I got into comic books, because I was always a fan of speed and being fast, and that superpower was always a super cool power to me. I've always loved it. So when I first got into the Flash and first was learning about him and learning everything that he can do, I was like, yep, this is gonna be my favorite superhero moving forward. There's no question. And Flash really hasn't been done justice in live action movies, besides the TV show, which I think is really cool. But aside from the fact that I feel like they recycle similar villains over and over again, it's always speed. That's what it always comes down to. It's speed. That's his big baddie. If you watch the TV show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But all in all, it was a really good movie. Like I say, they didn't do a good job of explaining his Flash, so it really makes him into a kind of a cheap cutaway character. He kind of comes off as kind of trash. But for who fans of the comic book know how awesome of a character Flash is, why he's in the original Justice League, why he is considered to be so powerful. So I can't really fault him for that. This was Zack Snyder trying to put all the characters together. This was really focusing on them coming together and fighting Steppenwolf and Darkseid. And for our comic book fan, for a 4-hour-long movie, I think they did a really good job of it. I've got to commend Zack Snyder. I did watch the 4-hour movie. I swore to myself that I wasn't going to do it. I was like, I'm going to watch this 4 separate days, 4 separate viewings, an hour each, and then I'm going to come to my own conclusion, and then I'm going to do a review. But I had nothing to do today. I was just literally sitting around doing nothing, and the movie went by kind of fast. Like, it's already 5 o'clock, and I didn't even realize it. But I felt like it wasn't a waste of time whatsoever. If you're a huge comic book fan, you know how ridiculous and long these movies can be, how much lore has to be gone into. So the 4 hours isn't really that crazy whatsoever. I mean, the I will say this about the movie. It is disappointing that it ended the way that it did, because they hinted at more. They hinted at another movie, obviously, and I feel like Warner Brothers really dropped the ball, man. I really do. They really sped this through. They really wanted to wrap it up. I understand that Zack Snyder had some things that he was going through, so he couldn't really finish the film. But they really sped this up. They really could have broken this up into 2 separate movies. Like, they could have added even more exposition on the Flash. They could have done so much more with this movie. Done a Justice League 1 and 2. They came back with a Justice League 3 to really go into the sequel of what Zack Snyder was setting up, and it would have been great. The flashes to the future, the explaining Barry Allen going back in the past and explaining to Bruce that, hey, Lois is the key to everything. It really could have been explored in 3, 4 movies, with all the lore, with all the explanation, with Joker going into talking about Robin. Like, it was really, really cool how they tied everything together. Like, this is the superior film to me. And I haven't even seen the Joss Whedon cut. I just watched a couple of reviews. I read the plot summary. I watched a few scenes, and I was not impressed whatsoever. The design for Steppenwolf is different. The dark design for Batman is different. I mean, the dark design for Superman is different. I much prefer a dark Justice League. I've watched a whole bunch of reiterations of Justice League, and most of them are happy-go-lucky. I want, like, DC, I want it to be dark. You know what I mean? Like, the way that they were on the roll, I felt like the dark world was the way to go with DC. They've always had a more serious tone, so I felt like it would have been perfect and beautiful to have it like that. I mean, it really is what it is, as far as that goes, But just from my perspective, they could have milked this for like 3, 4 movies. They put them all in theaters, man, or make them available online, and you could have really, really cleaned up. But they didn't decide to go that way. They didn't decide to go that route. So this is the result that we get. So, just to keep it moving along, to give you guys my final rating, from a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna have to give this movie about a 7.5. Wasn't perfect by any means, but was very good. I'd really knock it down just for the simple fact of, we all know there's not going to be a sequel, because most of the actors have stepped away from the roles that they had. Henry Cavill doesn't want to be Superman anymore. Bruce Wayne isn't going to be Bruce Wayne. I'm sorry, Bruce Wayne. The actor that plays Bruce Wayne, I'm completely forgetting his name right now, but he doesn't want to be Batman anymore, so there's not going to be a continuation of that. So pretty much everything after this movie is done. Like, it's nixed. I don't see, there's no possible way that they can come back from this and completely change up actors and keep the same storyline. Warner Brothers is just off Justice League. And just to go into a whole different rant about Warner Brothers, people give Kevin Feige a huge amount of crap because of how much he controlled the Marvel Universe, and how he ran that ship with such a tight fist. He wanted to make sure all the stories, leaked seamlessly into each other. They wanted to make sure that the characters lined up with the comic books to a certain extent, and to make sure that things didn't veer too far off course, so that it could have a certain look or a certain aesthetic or tell a certain story that he wanted to tell. And I remember a bunch of people saying that it was just horrible how he was doing people, and how he wanted to control everything, and how actors didn't have a whole bunch of freedom. But all in all, that's why I think the Marvel movies have been much more successful than the Justice League. I don't think Justice League did a very good job of, and I don't mean just Justice League, I mean DC, the DC universe inside of Warner Brothers, the way that Marvel, I guess Marvel owns Marvel. Yeah, I guess that's probably the biggest issue, is that DC doesn't have their own film company. It's just Warner Brothers. Well, I guess Warner Brothers has always kind of done Batman and stuff in the backgrounds, but it just seems like they didn't care about transitioning into a film franchise. It didn't seem like they were really vested in really fleshing out these characters, fleshing out the movies, fleshing out the storylines, and really giving fans something that they had wanted for such a long time. And that's that's what you really feel in the movies. That's what you feel in the Joss Whedon cut. They kind of just pilfered him away from Marvel to try to throw him in there to try to give him a little bit of spice up, to give the movies a little bit of boost, to try to rake into the box office. It didn't turn out well. It just didn't. They didn't gross nearly as much as Marvel did on a movie-by-movie basis, and Avengers completely destroyed Justice League on a multiple basis because there were so many Avengers, and on a singular movie basis. I mean, Marvel Infinity War destroyed Justice League, and I mean, there's not going to be any second movies. They kind of just abandoned it, and I mean, it is what it is. I hope that this doesn't indict superhero movies going forward. I do hope that they do find a way to incorporate more and more superhero movies. I mean, you can do so much with superhero stories that you couldn't do in the past. You can incorporate, social commentary into it. You can interject economic situations. You can interject, psychological ideals or psychological theories into movies. Or, it's just so much you can do with movies. You can blend genres, like the New Mutants, how they incorporated horror, or how Doctor Strange incorporated a little bit of spirituality into the movie. Like it's so much that you can do to interject certain ideas and theologies into movies that make them more interesting, to give them a little bit of a demographic expand demographics or expand ideas into movies that you couldn't do in the past because you had to have big fight, love interest. I mean, they still have that, but you can really add little nuggets here and there that really give people stuff to analyze and love and really want to look deeper into. But we'll see, man. I hope Marvel's not done making movies, because I really like the way that they're doing it. I know they've transitioned over to the Disney Plus side of releasing stuff. And WandaVision was a big success with critics, and it was a big success with people who wanted to watch it. Honestly, I'm not a big fan. They could do a little bit better for me, but we'll see what happens with this Falcon and Winter Soldier thing that they're going to be doing on Disney Plus. But I'm here for the big budget movies, man. I love the big budget movies. I also love the cartoons. I'd rather have a movie cartoon than a live action TV series, because there's so much more that you can do in cartoons. It just costs studios so much more to do with live action. And sometimes they cut corners. Sometimes they kind of hedge just so that they don't have to spend as much money, but try to get the same effects. And a lot of the time you can see that the final product suffers. But all in all, Zack Snyder, this cut, Justice League, was a very fun ride. I hope you guys do get a chance to watch it. It is 4 hours long, so definitely maybe watch it in parts. They even break it up. Like I think it's 6 parts in an epilogue, if I'm not mistaken. And it's not bad at all. There's nothing wrong with that, because it's a long ass movie. 4 hours, I don't care who you are. That's a long time to sit and watch a movie. I was shocked that I had enough time today to just sit and watch it. And like I said, I wasn't upset. I wasn't displeased. I didn't hate it. I'd go back and watch it again in parts this time. But fight scenes were great. Story was great. Yeah, I'm all here for it. I hope you guys do get a chance to watch it. And for my YouTube video, that's where I'm going to end this. I'm going to keep the podcast going, and we're just going to talk about some more superhero stuff. So if you're with me on a podcast, we're just going to keep on rolling. If you're watching me on YouTube, that's where I'm going to end the video. I appreciate y'all for stopping by, and I'll catch y'all next time. Hey guys, thanks for checking me out today. Before you leave, check out the Patreon. I got a link down in the description. Please subscribe and leave a comment to let me know how I can make my content better, or any kind of content that you guys want to see. Click like so YouTube can know that I'm a pretty dope reactor, and leave any thoughts that you guys have. Today, guys. Peace.